Welcome back to Road Gang Radio. Join Jimmy Mack and Lindsay Lawler's Gang of the Airwaves by subscribing to Radio Nemo on YouTube.
We celebrate all kinds.
Make it official. After all, if you're listening, you're already in the gang. The Road Gang.
Good morning to you, Dave. What's up, brother?
Good morning, dude. How you doing? Great to be here. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. What is going on? How is the good world treating you? And before we get to anything like business-oriented, what are you doing this weekend?
Oh, man, I umpire baseball games in my spare time. So I've got some baseball games that I umpire.
What do you, how old are the people you're umpiring for? That's always the second question.
Usually they're between 10 and 12 or 13 and 15.
Wow. Which means emotions run high and the stakes are incredibly low except for them.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yes. I always say sometimes youth baseball is great until you put the parents involved. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The kids are fine. It's not the kids that are the problem. It's always the parents. Unless it's girls soccer, then it is actually the kids' problem. All right, Dave, so let's kind of dig into everything. We're talking truck parking, a whole bunch of other stuff too, but let's kind of start there. What's TCA up to in regards to with the Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act?
You know, we're constantly advocating for that acceptance of that Improvement Act because it gives real dollars to solve a real problem. And by real problem, this is the professional truck driver's number one concern as they operate on the roads today is searching for safe and secure truck parking. And this isn't a matter of saying, okay, let's put more parking spaces in North Dakota. And nothing against North Dakota, but that's not where the majority of freight is going. So we have to look along the major freight corridors across this country and find places to safely and securely obtain truck parking because on-ramps and off-ramps and places that aren't designed for truck parking just aren't going to do it. They're inherently unsafe. There's security issues left and right. So finding places to securely and safely park their trucks is paramount for this industry. And it helps improve the driving job without a doubt. So we're advocating that. I can't imagine reauthorization will go through without some truck parking initiative in it.
I always laugh about this. If you're driving through South Dakota and you see people parked on the exit ramps, well, they're the ones with the problem. But if you actually drive through Ohio or around the port of Baltimore and you see people parked on the exit ramps, that's where the parking needs to be. And I've always told my dad, I said, any place you see parking all over the exit ramps in a route, that's where additional parking needs to be added. And that's been kind of the calculation of places like Ohio as well. This is not just about a parking shortage. It's a parking shortage where the parking is necessary, correct?
Yep, you are correct. So there's no point in building spots where truckers aren't traveling. So let's build them where they need them.
All right, we're going to pivot here. It's like rapid fire round. We're going to talk about hair follicle testing, by the way. So what's going on with that?
And that's an interesting one because HHS just announced that they're probably going to be releasing a supplemental notice of proposed rulemaking sometime in October. Which is fantastic if there's movement. But we've been down this road before, right? They've announced that it's coming and then delayed, and it's coming and then delayed, and it's coming and then delayed. So this is the next tranche of it's coming, and hopefully we see something in there that makes sense for this industry and would allow motor carriers that actually do hair follicle testing to put the results of those tests into the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. Now, here's where it gets interesting, right? And there's a lot of talk around capacity lately, and this is one of those rules that could move the needle on capacity and go from there. So we've seen some studies. I know there was one study that had 7 large truckload carriers participate in something like this and go down that line and say, hey, 88,000 drivers were given both a urinalysis and a hair follicle test for pre-employment purposes. Of those 88,000 drivers, over 400 tested positive using urine, over 4,000 tested positive using hair follicle testing. But they couldn't put those results in the clearinghouse. So the numbers are there. The testing doesn't lie, and it becomes one of those situations where I think we as an industry can truly get a rule that works.
Dave, would you do me the honor, by the way, Hailey Betham is joining us this morning. Would you do me the honor of introducing her so we can kind of keep this conversation going with a trifecta of us going on now?
I would. Hailey is TCA Superstar Manager of Government Affairs. Is running amok on Capitol Hill. She's been on the Hill quite a bit lately, talking about all things trucking and TCA. So we're happy to have her on the phone.
Hailey, it's good to have you. Good morning. Welcome to Road Gang Radio. You got big plans for the weekend?
I think I'm just kicking it back and relaxing this time. My feet are kind of killing yesterday. I regretted wearing heels on the hill yesterday, so just spending time with my kids. So I'm just happy that it's Friday.
I'm actually, by the way, if Dave Nemo was here, Dave, what he would actually say is he would come up with a new segment for Hailey on a regular basis called Heels on the Hill. And we would do that entire segment like that, by the way. And by the way, Hailey, and Dave too, when I say size and weight, I am not talking about either one of you guys. I just want to make that really clear. Which one of you would like to dig into what TCA is doing in regards to conversations with legislators and the people on the Hill about the size and weight of trucks?
I can take the charge on that one. So TCA, it has a great collaboration and partnership with the Coalition Against Bigger Trucks. The name is not the best name definitely for branding, but the reason why we love it so much is because they are advocating the same things that we are, which is we oppose any increase of truck weight over the 80,000 pounds for so many reasons, for safety reasons, for the carrier aspect. For us, it's we already have so many carrier members who operate and work in the heavy haul business. If you increase size and weight, you're going to see an increase of auto insurance, or trucking insurance. These are the things that we're having conversations with on Capitol Hill. And right now, especially in the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, you're really seeing a lot of these size and weight bills come through. We have some really great advocates on TNI who are opposed truck size and weight, but that's really where we are. We're waiting to see if Dusty Johnson will bring back his 91,000 pounds on 6 axles, which a carrier would have to retrofit a 6 axle. But we love working with CABT just because we also have that background of the local law enforcement and our colleagues in the rail industry. So it's been going good. The conversation talking about yesterday on the Senate side, and we're just hoping that they can be the ones to squash any increase in truck size and weight.
You know, the other thing is, too, and this can go to Hailey or Dave, is that a lot of people don't realize that the amount of money you would save by consolidating a load is completely offset and ruined by the fact that those big trucks actually do more damage to the nation's infrastructure as well. The trade-off isn't there. So it doesn't make any sense. And, you know, while we're in the midst of rebuilding the country, the last thing we want, tell me if I get this wrong, Dave, the last thing we want is heavier loads rolling over bridges, heavier roads rolling through construction zones. It's just, there's a lot of things that make this a real non-starter for you guys. Fair enough?
Fair enough, Jimmy. And the easy, the simple explanation is always going to be, let's add more weight to the trucks. Let's add more size to the trucks. And that solves all that bothers us. But no, it does not. Just like you said, there's unintended consequences of this type of parameter. Number one is, when you start putting heavier weights on trucks, you're right, it does do more road damage. And at a time when our infrastructure needs are far and away greater than what efficiencies can do, we can probably gain more trucking productivity and efficiency by doing a couple things, and that's improving our roads and bridges. Our roads right now are graded out as a D+, and no, that's not my high school transcript. That's actually the grade in which our highways and interstates were given. And then our bridges rated a C. This is not the first-class infrastructure system that we have come to expect from this nation, and we need to do things to get there, not do things to degrade them even more. So the reality is going to be is, why would we go down this path and do this when we can do things like get safe and secure truck parking, which would allow drivers accessibility to parking while they're on their route, not out of the way, or improve our roadways so that they're not detained in traffic as much. I mean, all of these things have an effect, and adding size or weight to this industry makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, and all of it, like Hailey was saying earlier, at the end of the day, it's an insurance game as well too. Because if you think the people who actually, even when you have to do it in house, the people who actually create those premiums and actually set those numbers, that's always going to be a problem. that's always going to be a big issue in regards to the overall cost savings are not offset by what it's going to ultimately end up costing men and women. I don't want to run out of time here. Dave, I will defer to you for you or Hailey on this. Talk about the gallons-based user fee and what you guys are kind of looking there as well.
And that's what I was going to bring up if you didn't bring it up. And the G-Buff is what is our new Capitol Hill initiative, probably our major initiative, because we're in re-auth season, right? And the IIJA is set to expire at the end of September of 2026. So in saying that, we have to come out with a new highway bill, and that new highway bill has to have some funding considerations for the Highway Trust Fund. And we're affectionately calling it a G-Buff, which is a replacement to the fuel tax or a rebrand to the fuel tax, because number one, the connotation that goes with the word tax is often negative. And a fuel tax isn't really a tax. What it really is a user fee. So when we talk G-Buff, it's a gallons-based user fee. It basically states that you are paying as you go along. It's not a tax, it's a user fee. And that's reflective of the gallons you're putting in your vehicle and or your truck. And coupled with a registration fee for EVs or hybrid vehicles, can actually move the needle towards fixing our infrastructure if we get it to a manner where it needs to be. The fuel tax hasn't been raised since 1993, so we're effectively collecting $1993 and paying 2025 prices. There is not an equation in the world that works out for that. But if you raise the fuel tax to a point where it is reflective of today's dollars, and that would be 39.9 cents for gasoline and 52.9 cents for diesel fuel, that supercharges the Highway Trust Fund to the tune of almost $83 billion. And it really makes sense and gives this nation the dollars it needs based on funding that it needs to rebuild our infrastructure. Now, in saying that, you have to look at this. There's a couple different ways, right? Somebody's going to sit there and say, wait, you're going to raise my fuel tax. How much does that mean for me, the average car driver that drives 12,000 miles a year, and an average car driver? It equates to about $129 a year annually. People pay more for Netflix than they would for increased expenses for getting our roads and bridges up to par in this type of scenario. So that's where it makes perfect sense. And here's the reality, and people don't realize this. And I always point this out because Hailey's car had a rock kick up on her windshield, and it's going to cost her $1,000 to replace that windshield because of the infrastructure situation that she's driving. So this becomes that issue. People are already paying for it because we're driving on roads and bridges that aren't up to par, and they're degrading, and we don't have the dollars to fix them. So maintenance, wear and tear on the vehicles are coming into effect, so they're not necessarily realizing they're paying it already, but they are.
All right, let me see if I get everything straight here because we got to wrap this up. Dave Heller and Hailey Betham join us this morning from TCA. You guys want to make sure that the truck parking is where the truck parking needs to be. We want to make sure that the people out there who are driving are actually not only safe and sound but sober, so you want to kind of fold in hair follicle testing. You guys are against having trucks with larger weight because at the end of the day it raises insurance rates. More important, it creates larger, bigger things that damage the infrastructure, often kicking up rocks onto Hailey's windshield, which by the way, cost her a lot more money than a G-Buff would, and also raising the sales tax, the gas taxes as well, too. And by the way, I'm going to add this final thing in here because I know a little bit about this, too. People don't realize that a gas tax stabilizes the price of gasoline and diesel because what it really does is it prevents people from gouging you at the pump by pump. What did I miss, Dave? What else is there left to talk about?
First and foremost, Jimmy, I think we need you on Capitol Hill.
I appreciate you. Hailey, go have a great weekend. Dave, have a great weekend. Anytime you guys want to drop in, you let us know. If you've got new news, new information, just want to shoot the breeze, Dave and I would love to have you back. Thank you both.
You got it. Have a great weekend, Jimmy.